Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first Many Markets Space Industry and Markets video. Today we're going to be talking about everything that I put in the description. Basically, what's going on in the outer space industry. I'm T, by the way. So we'll be talking about a little SpaceX, Blue Origin, relativity, and yeah, this will be posted on the Many Markets YouTube account. So if you watch it on the stream, that's where you watch it later. I'll also talk about a little bit about the military, people in space, debris, space trash, etc. This is just going to be basically me checking in on the space industry. This is an industry I check in on. I think it's really interesting for a variety of reasons, and I'm not sure where to start. So I think we're just going to start with Wikipedia, which has I just think it's interesting because I think what one thing that makes this market interesting is that it's not very followed. It seems really important and really kind of interesting in that it's kind of expansive, right? Like the more we go into space or learn about space, the more there is to like explore and do. I don't think that's the same with everything. So I was looking at the Wikipedia earlier, and this is it. Just trying to get chat up. This is it, and it has this. Sorry, I'm just trying to remember my note that I had for it, because it has this planned 100 Falcon launches in 2023, and it's 2025 as of the recording this video. And so this is controversies and challenges. And so in this section of the Wikipedia, why did that happen? Sorry, I'm just like having computer fail right now. The company does not disclose methane escape, nor does it provide an estimate of the total emissions for its planned 100 Falcon launches in 2023. So the fact that it says total annual emissions for its planned, like this should be updated to like maybe did not give emissions or whatever, if that's what happened. I don't know what happened. But this just shows like the fact that the Wikipedia for space industry isn't being kept up to date. I don't know. My experience with Wikipedia is that it usually seems fairly up to date. And so I don't know. I just think it just sort of speaks that more than anything quickly speaks to like how people just don't pay attention to this industry. I think because it's nascent or not nascent, it just feels kind of unapproachable. And I think I would like it to be a little bit more approachable. I've always wanted it to be approachable. Like, it feels like it's something we can only look in on and not participate in to some degree. And I don't think this is entirely true. It's just the skill sets needed to work in this industry, it seemed like are perhaps it's not the easiest to get into. So yeah, the Wikipedia is pretty boring. This one is, at any rate. So, I expect this video to be kind of a mess. I didn't plan very much. I just knew I wanted to talk about it. I think about it a lot. I've researched it a lot over time, and I expect to do more with it. But this is very much a done is better than perfect stream/video. So, just starting with SpaceX. The first thing that pops up on the page, Starship 11th flight test, and then watch. My understanding is that Starship is like basically landing, like it landed in the ocean. This is huge. I mean, this vehicle, like, my understanding is that I could be wrong about anything this stream. Double check me, fact check me. This is all just from my memory. Probably won't read much on stream, but my understanding is the goal of this is to be able to hold 100 people. And carry 100 people to the planet Mars. That's my understanding, last I checked. And so making this so that it's reusable is a big deal. And so if we watch the latest flight test, I'll just sort of, are we going to be able to watch this? I don't think we're not going to be able to watch this. You have to be like a Twitter person. Maybe we'll go to YouTube real quick and check it out. So that's the 10th flight test. 5 days ago. Okay. I don't know. Maybe I started at 9.
Just going into today's one. Ship engine payload deployed. Ships in. Relay demo start.
That seems like a really big deal. And it doesn't really seem like it's very covered in the media, but you can see the people at the company are pretty stoked. At least that's what it looks like here at the SpaceX YouTube channel. Anyway, so I think like, I feel tempted to open a spreadsheet right now, and I don't know why, but the idea that there's going to be that like, let's just talk about the moon. How long of a trip did it take for the Apollo missions to get to the moon? It's not worded well. Let's see what pops up. I think it's a day or 2 days, a few days. All right, so yeah, Apollo 11 took 4 hours, 4 days, 6 hours, and 45 minutes from launch to lunar landing. So to me, that's like, I have no idea. To me, that sounds like how long it takes like a ship to get across the Atlantic Ocean or something. So this is an economic thing, but like after we can easily travel to the moon, like I don't really see much of a reason why, besides like there's all these issues like space dust and stuff that I don't know. But like, you know, the moon isn't so far that I feel like in our lifetime we'll have people there. So the space industry I expect to be really huge. I expect there to be a lot of markets, and it's weird because right now it mostly seems like it's government, but I expect that it's like as it expands, there's just going to be all sorts of weird opportunities here. So as an example of that, I'll go to this Archaea Media. This used to be called Payload, I think. I searched for Payload Podcast, and this is what popped up, so maybe they changed their name. And we'll just go down to... all these are podcasts with space industry people, and I find that most of them are kind of a bit dry, bureaucratic types, but some people here are more interesting entrepreneurs. And... I'm trying to, okay, so Peter Beck, the Rocket Lab, I don't know, I've looked into that some. If I remember right, they were sort of working on some of these problems really early, the like reusability thing, and I'm looking for the guy who worked at SpaceX, who started his own company. He's probably one of the top things. We'll do popular here. Yeah, there it is. Tom Mueller. So Impulse, if I remember right, this podcast looks like it's an hour, and he just talks about like he's building a company that's like designed for small sats to sort of get, or satellites to sort of get around in space to one another to help like, I don't know, resupply or stuff like that. And I think that's just one example of like a space industry that's sort of like, a space company that is, it's just one of the like things we don't think about because it's just like a simple logistics kind of thing. But it's like, that's a really simple, right? There'll be plenty of boring type companies, like not very interesting that pop up that are doing things to try and make things work better in space. Here we have one with Tim Ellis is one of the founders of Relativity. Their whole thing was to completely 3D print rockets, I think. That was their initial thing, if I remember right, and I think they've pivoted since then. But So yeah, so this is an interesting sort of podcast to listen to, I think, because I think it might be the best one I've found in terms of just following the space industry. Um, anyway, okay, I'm gonna just put that to the side for now. So we talked about Starship. What else is there? What else is going on in this industry? All the time there's launches happening. There's launches happening in Florida. Look at this mission. What are these? Are these launches? And these are just things going up. This is just satellites going up for internet or whatever. Landing site, drone ship. Talk about the landing. It's all happening in Florida. Looks like Texas one, California one. Completed missions, upcoming launches. Yeah, so there's 4 upcoming launches here. So they're launching every few days. So I think that's really interesting, right? We're having space launches every few days, and I don't know. So that to me is huge, right? We have these huge rockets that are flying into space every few days. So what are they bringing there? They're bringing satellites, right? For internet and for maybe government, like military stuff. And I think the goal is to have short-term and long-term people. Every time these things bust into each other or run into each other, it creates space debris, which is just like, if my mouse is a thing, right? There's all this stuff. If our Earth is this word Florida right here, there's all this stuff just orbiting Earth at a really high speed that can cause damage to other stuff. So space debris is a big problem, or space trash. I know this video seems so unoriginal and kind of like something. Oh, this is just I was just looking at job boards. I think it's interesting to see like what these companies are hiring for at any given time. And it seems like there's always a lot. They're always hiring for a lot of people. I don't know if the job boards, how true they are, but it's a niche thing. So I think it's difficult to find people with the right skill sets. But yeah, sorry if this is being unoriginal. It's kind of this like amalgam. Like I just wanted to start talking about it. I didn't really know a great place to start, but I wanted to just start. So I know a lot of this can be kind of rinse and repeat. I do expect that I'll give some more unique takes on it later, but for now we're just sort of like getting the overview since it's the first video of this type. Yeah. So yeah, what else is there to talk about? I think it's interesting to just look at these sites, right? Like the first thing on SpaceX's website is Starship, which I think sort of illuminates where their head's at. Like we're focused on Starship. Second thing, making life multiplanetary. World leading launch service provider, right? Third thing, like this is our bread and butter. This is how we make money, right? I think they have a lot of government contracts to launch satellites into space. And this is sort of what they're about. And then if you go to Blue Origin's website, it's like New Shepard. I think the New Shepard rocket's really big if I remember. I forget the difference between New Shepard and New Glenn. Fly to space on New Shepard. So this is sort of the space tourism thing, like just getting people exposed, which I think is really powerful. It's probably really powerful. I have not done it. Reusable rocket engines. Honeybee Robotics products. I kind of want to look at this Honeybee Robotics thing because I think it's an interesting thing to put here. It's talking about robotics. And look, this appears to be like a robotics thing. What is that supposed to be on the moon? Which I think is huge and will be huge, I would imagine, for space stuff. Yeah, so you see how they have all these plans for things. My experience, the plans get pushed back. It's kind of a bummer. But yeah, I think studying space stuff is a great way to learn engineering. I might dig around on this robotics thing more. Blue Origin site. Thankful to Blue Origin that they have some of this stuff up. Become an astronaut. Let's see what's going on with that. We'll look at the careers too. Look at SpaceX. What do we look at SpaceX? So the Starship's about people, mostly, I think. And then we'll say Dragon, right? This carries people, I think, to the space station. 7 passengers. And what's this? Falcon 9. Falcon 9 is like their thing. I think this is like what they started with. Maybe they started with Falcon 1 or whatever, but reliable and safe transport of people and payloads. Right, this is mostly reusable, if I remember correctly. 70 meters tall. It seems so thin to me. 12 feet. Falcon Heavy. I think this is just a bunch of Falcon 9s next to each other, right? Is that 3 Falcon 9s and then one thing in the middle, big thing in the middle? I don't know. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the engines and whatnot. Yeah, so I think one of the more interesting things about space is, like, to me, if everything is going to go electric, if that's a thing, which I don't know how much it will, but I think, like, in general, I would imagine the world will continue to electrify if it is just more efficient. I do want to dig into those markets more, the energy markets, but it's hard. It's hard for me to dig into that. It's a lot of science and a lot of just math and figuring out logistics and stuff. Merlin, this is an engine. Okay, let's go to SpaceX careers. Company. Maybe just updates. We'll do updates and we can also do careers. Falcon Heavy first flight, unmatched performance. Is this? I want to get out of here. Company updates. Oh, I already had that. Okay. Evolving the multi-user spaceport in March 2025. Watch the launch of Falcon 9 rocket well on the way to their own rocket launch. The astronauts watch. Okay, yeah. So this is just saying it's going to be commonplace. Rockets are going to be launching all the time. So, yeah. So my understanding, at least what I've heard is that the rockets are always gonna for rocketry, assuming we're not gonna change our launches, like the way things work, like have really tall buildings that things just float off of, and then there's a little bit of rockets. There's going to be a lot of fuel consumption from these things, and like total, I don't know if it's very much in terms of what's currently a thing, but like depending on how much we do, it's like fuel will always be a thing if that is the most efficient way to get to space, which is, I think, is interesting. Because it's interesting if an energy source is going to go like completely out of like non-use anymore versus just be very small. That's the difference between 0 and 1 is huge. I don't know. There's so much writing on this updates thing. The future of Starlink direct to cell. Yeah, I don't know if we'll go through that. All right, that seems enough for SpaceX. Book your flight on New Shepard. How much is this? And this is a bad sign to me. If it doesn't just have the price pretty off the bat, it's just like, give us some information. I think that sucks. That's garbage. Don't put purchase your seat and then not be able to, like, it's some sign up stuff. What is this? Yeah. I acknowledge they will collect a $150,000 deposit to begin the order process. So maybe it's at least 150 grand. Anyway, if this is a thing, it's cool. That's not cool though. I don't like that. So yeah, we're gonna close this whole tab because they wasted our time. Build the future. Join the team. So yeah, I never know how real these things are. Like the job postings. It's kind of one of the things. I think the job market in general is like kind of sucks it just sucks, I think, for a variety of reasons. But yeah, you can see these are all engineering, right? Yeah. I mean, maybe you scroll down more, they're different. Looks like they have a bunch of pages here. Is this 2 pages or is there more? Well, I guess they only have 2 pages. So SpaceX has like, let's just search for everything. Look at all these jobs. So if these jobs are real, SpaceX has what seems like way more jobs. And I think this is because SpaceX, I could be wrong, but I think they've just like kind of done more, got more contracts maybe. That's my, I don't know a lot about it, but intern conversion. Early career systems engineer. Look at this. Let's look at, maybe this is an entry level. Here's my guess. My guess is they're going to want you to have 5 years of experience, or you're going to have to be like a student who's in an engineering program or something. Right? Like the way to is, I don't know. It's just, it's funny. There's not really like real preferred qualifications. MS, that's a master's, right? Degree or PhD in aerospace engineering or mechanical engineering. So like that's the starting point. Okay, so space isn't that accessible yet, right? It's kind of this like, or at least not here. Let's see. Let's pick on a SpaceX one. SpaceX has like the they have internships or whatever. I actually don't want to look at a SpaceX one, I don't think. Right now, there's no reason. I like, you know, I think the barrier to entry is lower for SpaceX. I just don't care to look at it. What's this? Exploration systems. Back at Blue Origin now. Robotics. Oh, did we already look at this? We already looked at this. Let's close that. Let's also close. Let's give it. We'll give it one more shot. What's the intern thing? Yeah, no intern thing. Fixed term. Nothing there. Okay, cool. That's that. All right, what's next? This is something that was written a few days ago. Market map shows how the space sector is maturing. Space investment firm Seraphim. Tracking rapid growth. I hate that. Tracking rapid growth. Give real numbers. The in-space economy is progressing far faster. Bishop sees funding picture 100 million companies raising 100 million plus rounds rather than being concentrated just a few mega deals. Okay, so there's lots of little companies getting funding, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Like this, again, it's so nascent. The news is not very good. And so I think that's part of the reason I wanted to dig into it. Let's just look at space industry. I want to go to news. Government contracts lay foundation for circular space economy. Primarily from defense, but also civil government demand, attracting customers. Satellite servicing company Astroscale. Microgravity research and manufacturing. Vast executives less focused on creating demand than cutting costs. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know, it's so weird. This is such a weird, it's such a weird industry to me, but it's so worth pursuing. It's worth pursuing, I think, because the bar is high to get things done in a way. Oh, man, that doesn't sound right. I think, you know, getting simple things done that where the bar isn't high is important. All right, this is Relativity. What does Relativity talk about? A customer-centric rocket company? What if that just means like we're trying to be likable, I guess. That's not very, I don't know. That's fine. That's like Amazon says it's a customer-centric thing. One of the Relativity founders worked at Blue Origin. The other one worked at SpaceX, if my memory serves. Tim Ellis was the Blue Origin person, and also CEO for a while. Strategic design choice, Terran Rs. Yeah, so ramping to scale. We're investing in infrastructure. Let's hear about that. Because I think SpaceX is kind of like the behemoth, but I want to know what markets these other companies are looking towards. I know, remember these are just looking towards like other size satellites or some, you know, some some niche size satellite. Like SpaceX does big and small, but they don't do the middle or something. And these guys do the middle, maybe. I don't know, something like that, maybe. Yeah, let's see what their careers page looks like. Because the careers, yeah, I don't know. Labor markets are always interesting to look at, and I think just looking at actual job postings isn't always the worst way to do it. Open roles. 410 jobs. And the first things listed, it looks like it's by whatever, it's accounting. Avionics. Let's look at the entry level. Can we? Nope. Ugh. Don't love that. Yeah, I'll click on a random one. This is what they get. 3+ years of fluid controls. Yeah, so niche. So I think this is the problem that I have with this, is it always seems like for people who want to work in aerospace, there's not really much of an entry level. I guess it's just very minimal. Like, maybe you could build something cool and apply to get an internship at one of these companies. But like, it doesn't really seem like they're very clear about what they want, or if they are, it's just a lot of like science buzzwords, which I think like maybe that is what the space industry is right now. Lead components engineer. Oh, that's one I already clicked on. If there's 200 postings, or 400 postings, I'm not scrolling that much. There should be more than this. Avionics hardware engineer 2. Let's look at this. 2+ years in electronics for harsh environments. Yeah, so 2 years to me is like, yeah, I don't know. I would apply like if I had maybe no experience even, but yeah, I think, I don't know, maybe I'm being particularly critical about this. I just think there's a huge gap between information for like what there's clear paths for most other industries. Okay. What's next? Just skim the news quick and see if there's anything here. Whoops. Okay. Australians want to spend more in space. We don't really know where we're going. That's just funny. I'm going to open that. The world's largest space conference. What's the average Australian think about space? The answer is they're conscious of space being important, but know little about what we are doing or where we are going. My answer to this is put more video cameras on everything that goes to space if it's possible. Like, get more footage. Like, people are visual. They need to see. Australians don't know what we're doing in the space sector. Yeah. I think part of the problem is everyone's so private about it. It's still this, like, very, like, people are quiet about it. They don't share a lot. So, like, they don't, like, you want to get, like, when things are more open, you can actually learn stuff. And, like, it's more accessible and it'll grow faster. But as long as it's this, like, safely controlled, like, here's only what we're sharing. Like, it's kind of just a bummer. What is this? Perceive importance of the space industry. Strongly agree. Australian commercial space sector is important for its economy. 53% agree or strongly agree. All right, that's just Australia. What else? What else is a place? Or what else is? I think, you know, once there's B2C stuff, it'll be different. But as long as the world's B2B, like, you know, B2B is just... I hate B2B. Commercial space industry success when the bubble burst. Ooh, I like that. Let's listen to some skeptics. Everyone else is all like, rah, there's so much investment. In the summer of 2023, CBC held a closed door seminar. Like, what? Okay. It's like I was saying. At the same time, the hottest buzzword in the venture capital circle was hard technology. People generally believe that modern innovation only brought about hype and pseudo demands. Model innovation. Okay. The most famous unicorn in commercial space, SpaceX, had completed 29 rounds of financing from its establishment to 2023, and total cumulative financing of up to $9.8 billion, pushing its overall market value to $150 billion. Commercial space became a recognized trillion level track. Meanwhile, the industrial development direction in commercial space was also numerous. This was most recent. Sorry, I'm skimming. I'm just 2 years have passed since. Looking back now, let's predict. Many of the predictions made at that time have started to come true. For instance, some startups in the commercial space track are vying to become the first listed company. What does that even? That doesn't mean anything. We're vying to become, like what? That means nothing. I'm losing faith in this article. It's just talking about financing. Okay, so rich people are funding these companies. I guess that's not nothing. It's not things like, I don't know. I don't think like financing isn't not impressed. Yeah. Sure. I guess things maybe have to be financed for this industry. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a downer on that. Space. China's industrial revolution to make rockets and satellites like cars. South China Morning Post. Totally unfamiliar with this publication. And it looks like it's going to stay that way because it wants me to pay stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, the SpaceX CEO is always talking about how making the factory is the hard thing. Factory for rockets. AWS Space Accelerator Program. Okay, Accelerator Program. What is this? Developing future leaders of space innovation. What do they do, though? This is like, just say what you do. First few words should say what you do. AWS will be delivered in collaboration with AWS partner. Like, it's just a bunch of hypey BS. Was terrible. Terrible. I think it's terrible. Horrible. But, I mean, it's AWS.com, so what do you can expect? Or AWS. Whatever. How private companies are influencing the new space race. I'm not trying to throw shade there. I just don't like the way these articles are written. New East Austin Rocket Lab launches to support growing space sector. Okay, what's this Rocket Lab doing? Your ad blocker's on. Yeah, I'm not going to read it. I don't care about the ads. Space Force renames front door to reflect broader impact on industry collaboration. This is like a PR thing. Front door? I don't get this, and I don't care to read about it. Mexico's space industry. We can read about that for a second. Text-based. Mexico's space industry is taking off. 2025 market report and future outlook. Mexico's space satellite sectors. I want to know, like, what financial pie graph of the space sector. I just want to see some, like, numbers, man. It's killing me. Estimating the value of economic activities in and for State Institute for Defense Analysis. Show me a graph. Okay, here's some graphs. Government expenditures, space service, user sports, satellite services, consumer services. What, like, okay, 2013, 2016? What's happening? What is this? What am I looking at? These graphs are hurting my brain. I don't even try. That's terrible. What's this one? Report of the Space Economy 2024. Okay, 2024, a little more recent. Public investment in space, private investment in space. This is a recap of 2023. It looks like 2023 that a lot of private investment dropped. I don't think people are aiming like low enough in this sector. Like aim lower, deliver something. But I guess it's hard. Like, what are you going to deliver as a product to people? Europe's share of upstream global market. Downstream. I don't know what these streams are about. Upstream, downstream, manufacturing, launch, SATCOM, navigation, Earth observation. So navigation and Earth navigation are up. Navigation. Navigation seems significant. Of less space trash. 1% increase compared to 22. So, like, in real terms, that's like a decrease. If inflation was 3% and something increased 1%, I don't know what inflation was, but to me, that's actually a real decrease. Share of civil space budget in Europe is around 85%. I don't know what that means. The share of civil space budget. Okay, there's a lot more civil than, I don't know what, compared to military. This is great. This is interesting. Figure 4 presents the distribution of institutional space budgets among the main spacefaring nations and Europe. Figure 4 presents the distribution of institutional space budgets among the main spacefaring nations and Europe. So the United States 64%, China 12%, rest of the world 4%, India 2%, Russia 3%, Japan 4%, Europe 11%. That's crazy that the United States has that much more of an institutional budget than everyone else. That is like, that's a really significant graph. What's this, 2023? I'd love to see this same graph for 2024. What's this? The figure 5 below shows the mass launched by production region for government programs over the period. Oh, interesting. So in terms of mass launch, it seems like the US and China are only 1% difference, with the US doing more and Russia doing 22%. So what is this other graph? What was that thing we just read? Why is it, where's the graph? So, okay, so we have the most waste. Is that what that means? Distribution of institutional space budgets. This is not good. Like, this is that graph. That means we're spending 64%, but China with their 12% is getting pretty much the same amount as us. So it just means we're spending money. That's like embarrassing. We being the US in this case, if we're private investment in space, yeah. Sad. Okay. This was helpful. This was a nice, what is this? Spaceeconomy.esa.int. That was good. I want to see more stuff like that. I want to see, let's see, graph of mass to orbit 2025 space industry. Let's see if those numbers change. The space record 24. I mean, it also could just mean they're launching like bigger things or what, heavier things, I guess. Annual launches, strong H2 market. No. See, these are words. Words are not interesting. We like graphs. Words are not good. Words can be fine, but like when you write the word Q4, you should have a graph. If you have a Q, if you have a quarter, if you're talking about, because Q4 means the financial quarter 4, have a graph. Space industry trends by PwC. That sounds boring. Let's look at this. Next in space, yeah, boring. Yeah. Give it a shot. Space launch market competition. Do you have a graph? Oh, yay, numbers. Wonderful. I don't know what to do with these numbers though. Launch vehicle estimated payload cost per kilogram. It's kind of interesting actually. Cost per kilogram. The Falcon 9. Falcon Heavy is the most efficient, it seems. Cost per kilogram, 15. Okay, so a kilogram's about is that 2.2 pounds? So it's about $750 a pound. That's actually like really amazing. Makes me want to launch something into space. Is that real? I'm gonna write this as a note. So is $750 a pound the cost to launch something into space on the Falcon Heavy rocket? I want to know that. That's interesting. What's the source? This is September 2023. Like, what happened between 2023 and 2025 that like we're just not interested in this? This is, I don't, like, what just happened? Like, I'm losing interest because I don't know. This is just like so many words. It might just be because I'm tired. It might be me. Falcon Heavy 24. Okay, let's look at this article. How much does it cost? All right, we got one of these dot graphs that I refuse to look at. I guess I'll try heavy. Nope, can't look at it. That's it. That's the state of the space industry. I don't know what else to look at right now. I do want to dig into this more. I think it's a really interesting market. I think it'll be an interesting market moving forward. If it's not an interesting market moving forward, we will be finding some market, because whatever happens, let's see. What's the total amount of money invested in outer space every year? So like, if we'll just go with this. Government expenditures on space programs reached record highs of approximately $117 billion US dollars in 2023. Okay, 117 billion. Where does this let's say the space industry doesn't exist all of a sudden. Where does that 117 billion go? Where does it go? Money is like a measurement of societal energy. I'm gonna write that down. Money is a measurement of societal energy. I kind of just thought I probably said similar things to that before, but like, so right, we're sending 117 billion of societal energy towards space. So like, that's going to be interesting. Where does it go if if space didn't exist? That would go into other things. So, like, it doesn't just disappear, right? You could be like, oh, we're not going to spend it, but then that means like government deficits will go down or whatever, or something. Maybe they'll go, I don't know. Maybe they'll go up. But yeah. So even though this is kind of a mess to cover, I think that's actually what makes it important to cover and figure out and try and find markets and efficiencies. And the timing of it is significant, right? Like when is this going to be, like, we're trying to understand, we want accessibility to this. My understanding, let's actually, what are publicly traded space companies? I think, if I remember right, let's see, Robinhood makes investing in SpaceX possible for their account holders. Is this a thing? I had heard the Robinhood CEO say something about that. Top space stocks or ETFs to buy the Motley Fool. Sure, we'll Motley Fool. Defense Titans. Ugh. Yeah, boring. Because these things they're just like, they're not just space. They have all this other stuff too. And I don't know. I don't want to look at that. It hurts my soul. Robinhood has enabled investment in SpaceX for its users in the European Union by acting tokenized shares of the company. Yes, dude. Let's just like, it's not legal in the US or something, but that's interesting, right? We don't have, the public doesn't, the retail does not really have access. Investing in Lockheed Martin is like, what percentage of Lockheed Martin's revenue comes from outer space? That's kind of a weird way to say it, but my guess, yeah, 17%. That's not nothing, but it's not very much. Like, that's not really a public space company. That's a public company that does some things in space. So for it to be listed like as number one on that thing, it's just like, it's just still inaccessible. There's room for opportunity here. I don't have a way to put it into words right now, but we'll I think we're gonna work on getting there. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Check out the Many Markets YouTube account where this will be posted. I'm analyzing different markets there, and let me know in the comments what you want to see in the next one.